The ever important topic of risk management, making sure we have realistic risk in the real world. If you hung out with a bunch of actuaries, yes, those smart people that work for insurance companies, the statisticians that play with numbers and facts and figures, they're the ones that set your premiums on your auto insurance, for example. If they charge too much, you'll go to another company. If they don't charge enough, they go out of business. Yeah, those guys. They have looked at the subject of risk in depth for years. That's why they've got mortality tables. How many people live and die when they set up your life insurance? They've got morbidity tables. How many people hurt their knees, their backs, their elbows and need to use disability? So what are some of the risks that we face that we need to get ready for today? The number one risk is longevity. It means we don't know how long we're going to live. So if you're planning on living to 80 and you live to 100, you might be in a world of hurt. We better make sure the plan takes you to 90 or 100, and then if you leave at 80, we've got money left over. Perfect example of a risk. And by the way, not all risks are bad. Longevity risk is an excellent risk to have. I hope you're healthy and happy and have it. 2 would be essentials. Do you have money for your basic needs all of your life? There are specific solutions we can do to create income for life to cover your essentials. Well, once you've got the cake baked and you've got the essentials covered, it's time for frosting. Quality of life. Are you going to live the lifestyle you want? I didn't say you were a jet setter necessarily, but are you able to go visit the grandkids, go on the vacations, and live the lifestyle you want? Put some icing on the cake. It's just a better way to go. And then the risk of legacy. Have you left a plan? Because if you don't, you're going to get a brick down at the zoo, or you're going to get a park bench, and that's the best that's going to happen. We can have an intentional legacy. You also have a spouse. A lot of us are happily married. If you're married, one of the spouses can predecease the other. It's a real world risk. Let's make sure that doesn't make things worse. Let's make sure that we can press on even if one of the amazing spouses disappears before the other. It's a risk that could happen. Another risk is the wild, wacky world of inflation. Yes, things cost more over time. Some of us in this audience remember when a stamp was a dime, first class postage. It's a little more today. You remember a gallon of gas when it was a little cheaper than it is at the pumps today. The inflation risk needs to be conquered. How about interest rates? Are we in a high, medium, or low interest rate environment? What do you think it'll be? We don't want to fight the Fed. We want to be accommodative just like they are. Is there any stock market risk? Yeah, you're shaking your head. Me too. The stock market does what the stock market does. It goes up and down. It's variable. It bounces. It's breathing in and breathing out right now as we speak. And of course, business risk. If you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, God bless you, everyone. But there are risks associated with that, as you can imagine. Some of your households have employment risk. Some of you are small business owners. Some are combinations of both. If you both work for the same company, they could do a reduction in force, a layoff, or change your plan. Let's consider employment risk for your household. Then there's Congress. Yes, the risk of public policy. Oh man, is that a fun channel to watch. So vote wisely. Let's take a look at the public policy because it will impact our futures, both good, bad, and otherwise, also known as a risk. Then there's the risk, the 800-pound gorilla in the room, of unexpected healthcare needs and cost. Probably the biggest risk that nobody really knows how to solve yet. We've seen corporations go after this, big governments go after it around the world. We haven't really solved that issue yet. So there are some temporary solutions, creative solutions, and some workarounds, but I don't think anybody has a really good answer to healthcare cost in this planet at this time. Something we can consider and dwell on and come up with some kind of workable solution in the time being until a more permanent fix can be determined. And number 10, if you're keeping track, loss of ability to live independently, also known as long-term care. If we live long enough, again, 80s, 90s, 112, we might need some assistance daily. We probably want to have a plan in place ahead of time. They will not sell you a solution once you need it. It just doesn't make economic sense. Let's get to it while we're still healthy, while we're still insurable, while we still have a fighting chance. Change in housing. Are you in your final home? Are you getting ready to upgrade, to move? Have you just recently moved? Changing housing needs is an ongoing risk. Oh, here's a giant one. Number 12. Yeah, we're tracking the list now. Change in marital status. If you're about ready to go from single to married to single, widowed, divorced, if your marital status changes, not only is it a change in your taxes, it's a change in risk. It affects your stress. It affects all sorts of things. So change in marital status. Okay, time to mentally shake your family tree. Unforeseen needs of family members. Who in your family knows where you live? Well, I know they all do. Rhetorical question. But who might need help? Special needs, special trust, special guidance. From now or later, it's a risk. We got to deal with it. Lack of available facilities or caregivers. So let's say we took care of long-term care and we've got some income coming in, we've got a plan of attack there. Is a facility going to be available? Depends on where you live. Some states are not all created equal out of the 50. So are you in a place that has a nursing home when and if you need it? Are there beds? Are there people that can take care of you? 15, lack of appropriate consumer information for making good world-class decisions. You know, in the old days, we didn't have the World Wide Web. We used to read books. We used to go to the library. We used to talk to each other. Now we've got smartphones and we've got the internet and we've got half-truths and good truths and mixed together. It's quite the cornucopia out there. So how do we get the right information to make the right decisions at the right time? It's a risk. You might be a victim of fraud or ID theft. Be careful. Have your systems backed up. There's things you can do. It's a risk. Somebody could posing to be you. We need to double check that and have a plan ahead of time. Proactive always beats reactive. The last two, 17 major health problems. If there are major issues, who's going to pay for that? We've addressed it briefly. It's so important. It earned a second time on the slot. And last but not least, do you have a spending plan created? Yeah, I'm going to use the word budget. You knew it was coming. You got to make sure you've got a plan for all the basics. See you soon.